Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening. This is Shri here with a quick preview of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy in Australia. This is the last test match. This is going to be in Sydney. Australia has already taken a 2-1 lead. So for India to retain the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, they would actually need to win this test match to get to a 2-all. Since they had won it last time, they would reclaim the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. But for Australia, a win or a draw would not only see them reclaim the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, but would also boost their World Test Championship final prospects. India, that's the only favorable result they can get, is to win this test match so they could save some grace by winning the Border-Gavaskar Trophy and have a outside chance to get into the World Test Championship. One thing that came through, there is a lot of turmoil that seems to be going on in the Indian board right now, Indian team. For the Australian team, looks like Jai Richardson is in, Marsh is out. Looks like they could have Mitchell Stark is still may play for this test match despite an injury. As far as India is concerned, there have been a lot of calls for Rohit Sharma to retire. It does seem that could potentially happen with Jasprit Bumrah taking over the reins, making the way for Shubman Gill back in the side, and not sure if Harshit Rana is going to replace Mohammad Siraj. So that remains to be seen. But for now, for India, this is a huge opportunity for them to level the series and retain the trophy, as I mentioned earlier in my opening statement. The one great thing that I've seen is that the Australians definitely, coming into this series, there was a lot of questions on their batting, but they've definitely answered a lot of the calls with Travis Head and Steve Smith. Steve Smith has had one of the best series that anyone could have or he could have in a long time. So I do feel that Australians definitely have bounced back. They've definitely got a lot of momentum going into this test match. And let's see if rain could play a potential spoil sport in this test match. But the SCG has been something, the Sydney Cricket Ground has been a fortress for the Australian cricket. In the last 23 matches, they've only lost once. That was, back in 2011. Since then, they have a very unbeaten, impressive streak of 13 matches, 7 wins, 6 draws, which is the second longest run without defeat on the historic ground. Again, both teams are not going to back down. How will the pitch perform? It's actually been a pretty decent batting track based on previous history, but the bowlers do have enjoyed some significant wins later in the stages of the match. So there is something for everyone here. It's going to be a wonderful test match. Let's see if India can answer a lot of the calls on how they can come back from defeat. The Melbourne test, as we did talk about, the last wicket stand of 61 runs definitely broke India's back. It orchestrated a great comeback for Australia. That's something which is trademark for them, their fighting spirit. And the debutant, Sam Constas, definitely provided a boost early in that test match by taking on Bumrah directly. And then Steve Smith and Travis Head Steve Smith and Khwaja played amazing in the first inning. And then the Australian bowling definitely ripped through the Indian opening attack, only to be saved by Nitish Kumar Reddy and Washington Sundar. And in the second inning, India had every chance, but a few drop catches by Jaiswal definitely put the Australians back in the driver's seat. This was a match that India could have won. India could have not only retained the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, they would have made a stronger case for the World Test Championship. But now, with a lot of the questions on whether Rohit Sharma could be on, that's probably the biggest news story of the day right now, that Rohit Sharma may not be in the playing 11, or he has asked himself to be excused from the playing 11. I do feel that Virat Kohli is definitely going to be playing. And there's been a lot of news items that's coming out saying that Bumrah could potentially be the captain. So that remains to be seen. Will this be Rohit's with the Melbourne Test be Rohit's final test remains to be seen. But for now, it is India's chance to mount a comeback. And with a lot of the critics who are right now being very critical of India's very defensive strategy and their inability to actually take critical wickets, especially on tail unders. But let's see if a potential change in captaincy, because India did win the first test match at Perth under Bumrah's captaincy. So can they do the same against Australia in Sydney, which is, like I said, has been one of the fortresses for Australia, where it's been impossible to break the Australian stronghold on the Sydney cricket ground. So it's going to be very fascinating as the test match resumes in a few hours. So looking forward to this test match and looking forward to be what would be the playing 11, because Gautam Gambhir, the coach, has not announced any playing 11 yet. So it's a mystery, shrouded in mystery. So looking forward to what the final 11 could be. But remains to be seen if India can definitely take the Australians. With that, we wrap up the quick preview. Looking forward to this amazing conclusion of the fifth test between India and Australia. Thanks again for listening, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you for listening. Primo will be back soon.